In today's video, we're going to be doing a deep dive into the Camp Chef cook oven. Again, in this deep dive video, we're going to be able to cover a lot of things that others may or may not have because we've been using this thing for almost 3 years. We're going to be able to tell you if it's right for you, what this stove can do, what it can't do, and would it make a great stove for you. We're going to try to cover everything in this one video, so let's do this deep dive. We've had this oven for over 3 years now. One thing that will separate us from other people who are doing videos and reviews on this particular Camp Chef oven, most of them have only been using it for camping. We put one of these in our wood shop kitchen when we built our barn 3 years ago, and we use it every single day. So we're going to start out with number one. We're just going to go over all the specs. I'll have a little deal in the background kind of playing and telling you. This unit's not very heavy. You're going to see me just setting it down on this table. Starting with the top, got the windscreens that come out, which help you if you've got it set up on a picnic table similar to what we have set up right now. The burners, that is actually the burner size itself is about 4 inches. So by the time you get the flame going, you've got roughly a 6-inch flame. Where that is the most beneficial, if you're using cast iron, you're cooking French fries, trying to fry fish, stuff like that, you're not going to get the hot spots like you would in some of the smaller portable. And I'm not gonna dog Coleman because I love my Coleman stoves. But the one problem is they've got those tiny burners and you end up with a hot spot that will destroy your cast iron. Again, the cooking area up top is large. You've got 2 burners. This cook area is roughly 10 inches by 19.5 inches wide. You can easily put a 10 or 12 inch skillet on one side. You can put a pot of beans or a pot of corn or whatever on the other side. Easily be able to do your French fries, fried fish, whatever, in a big skillet and still have room for a side, maybe mashed potatoes or whatever else. This is the extra large coffee pot made by Cabela's. As you can see, it's well used and well loved, but that just kind of gives you an idea how large it is. And again, it's roughly 10 by 20, just rounding up. Along with a great size cooktop stove, when you open up your oven, you're going to see that you've got 2 trays that you can use in here. These trays are large enough that you can put a 9 by 13 baking pan in, which is perfect size for cakes, biscuits, you name it, you can do it in this oven. I'm going to tell you one thing that's kind of different between this and a conventional oven at home. Your conventional oven at home is going to have a thermostat in it that will regulate the temperatures, turning your gas on and off or lowering your gas to keep it at, say, 350. On this particular model, you've got a thermometer on this side, and that's what you're going to be using to regulate your temperature. Now, I'm also going to tell you this, and a lot of people don't think about it. This thermometer is up at the very top of this oven. Heat rises. So if you're watching this gauge, even if it says 350 up here, it may actually be 325 down here, but this oven tends to cook a little bit hotter than what this gauge shows. Again, just like the burners up top, it's got an electronic ignition. If you are out and it's real windy, sometimes the burners up here are a little harder to light than they should be. It never hurts to use one of those kitchen matches or whatever on a windy day. The oven with the electronic ignition does a great job, especially if you have the oven closed. Again, this is not much different than a conventional oven. You want to do just like you would at home. Go ahead and preheat it before you put your stuff in there. Angie she absolutely loves the dinner rolls. So every meal, I can promise you that we've had 95% of them, she's cooking her rolls in the oven. Your cooking temperatures that you're going to be able to achieve out of your range is going to be anywhere from like 200, and then the max on it is about 400. Again, if you're seeing 400 on this gauge over here, it might actually be a little bit closer to 350. What do you normally cook it out when you're doing your dinner rolls, for example? And I know you guys can't hear her because she's not mic'd up, but basically what she's saying is if you, on our stove, and yours may be a little bit different if you get one, in between 350 and 400 seems to be the perfect temperature for cooking your biscuits, your TV dinners, that type of stuff. Guys, you know that I do a lot of the meals. I'll cook generally a meal or 2 so that especially if I'm making a long drive to camp and it's an 8-9 hour day to camp, that's one of the most wonderful things about having an oven at camp is you can go ahead and warm up a meal that you've already prepared. And again, guys, that's one of the things that a lot of people don't talk about or even think about when you're talking about having a camp oven, especially at camp, is being able to eat TV dinners in a rush. Nobody's going to deer camp or fish camp thinking, man, I'm looking looking forward to my favorite TV dinner. I recognize that, but if you do pre-cook some of your meals, like I've showed in some of our quick, easy cook camping meals, you can actually have them pre-cooked, especially a lot of them like the tinfoil dinners that we've started a series on. You can have them already ready, throw them in the oven. If you get to a place where you don't have a campfire yet, or maybe there's a burn ban when you get there, you can go ahead and heat up your tinfoil dinners in your oven, and that makes it so much nicer. Now, one of the things that we're gonna cover is the use of this thing. Everybody in the back of their mind kind of thinks about having a cook oven at camp, especially when you're looking at a camp oven, and that's what it's being sold as. One of the things that I wanna kind of remind some of you and think about, last year we had a tornado come through here. We were without electricity for almost 10 days, 11 days. We use this thing every day. But if you were in a situation where maybe you've had a natural disaster where they've had to turn off the gas, say you got a gas stove and they've turned off the gas, or you're out of electricity and you've got a total electric home, you can still make wonderful meals at home if you've got one of these. And it ends up being a really, really nice disaster or emergency plan to have in place so that you can continue cooking. One thing I do want to cover, you noticed at the beginning of this video, I'm showing you how you can install the 1 pound bottle on this. We have used, since day one, a 20 pound bottle on these. The 1 pound bottle, you'll get about 10 hours of use, but if you're going to be using it a lot and you're going to be taking it to camp, it saves you a lot of money not buying those 1 pound bottles right now. If you go to the store, 2 for 15 bucks. You can get your 20 pound bottle refilled at an LP tank place for around 15 bucks. A 20 pound bottle will last us, and that's doing at least 1 meal, because we don't always have 3 meals a day between work and everything else. A minimum of 1 meal a day. That 20 pound tank will last roughly 1 year, and that's using it a lot. That's using the oven every time, at the very least making the dinner rolls that she loves, and the cooked top for any of the sides or whatever. We do a lot of grilling. You guys know that we got the PK grill, and then we also do a lot of smoking. And anytime I can be outside cooking and smoking, that's what we do. And then this is our backup plan for the rainy days. Again, we do have a normal size oven in the house, but we spend more time in the wood shop kitchen. That's kind of our getaway, our break place. And that's why we've got a refrigerator out there. We've got our camp stove that we use as a full-blown regular size stove. We use this thing all the time, and it works out wonderfully. Now, is it right for you? If you're camping out of a Jeep, me and Buster camp out of that pretty regular. On a Jeep, your storage real estate is very tiny. So it's gonna be tough to justify a big oven like this if you're camping out of your Jeep. However, if you're taking your Jeep to, say, a 2-week camping trip like we do pretty regular in the fall, we go back to Oklahoma, and I'm pulling a trailer, definitely, if you've got the room, this thing pays dividends once you get to camp, even if you don't use it all the time. But say you've got one of those bad weather days or whatever, and you're in the tent much longer than you want to be, and you're looking forward to maybe a pre-cooked meal that you've already got. These things, they're just amazing. They work great. They're light enough that you can carry it around. If I was guessing, I'd say this thing weighs around 20, 25 pounds. You can pick it up. It's not super compact. If you think about that 3-burner old white gas Coleman stove that I've got, it probably takes up as much space as this thing does. It's just a different space. Okay, so this particular stove is from Camp Chef. Right now, they still offer 3 models. You've got this one, which is the Camp Chef oven, and then I'll show you a price. We're going to go over to Camp Chef's website, show you some prices so that you can follow along. That way I don't mess them up. And that's current prices as of today, and today is April 17th, 2024. The next model up is the Deluxe model. We also have the Deluxe model. The difference between the Deluxe model and this model is the Deluxe model actually has a more beefier handle up here so that you can open the oven. I do need to point that out on this, the most basic version. It actually comes with a heat wrap type deal. If you don't have that on there, because it's going to get dirty if you're using it a lot like we are, and it's going to get grease and everything else splattered on it. Use some gloves, because this handle right here gets really hot. The Deluxe model has more of a bigger, beefier plastic, and that plastic doesn't have the heat transfer like the metal, so it's not going to be as hot to the touch. I would still suggest having a pair of gloves, especially if you're at camp. I've always got my camp gloves. The other difference on the Deluxe model is the same thing. It's got a little bigger, beefier handle for the sides for carry handles. I do like these. They're a little bit smaller, so if you're cramped on space when you're packing, this packs up a little bit easier, but it's not a make or break deal. Now again, on the website, Camp Chef's website, this particular model is out of stock. Tell you right now, as of today's date, they do still have these on Amazon. I'll put a link down below, and I'll also put a link down below for the Deluxe model. Again, we've got both of them. We used this one, and after we had it about 1.5 years, I told the wife, I was like, man, you know, I know these are made for camping. We're using it all the time. Let's go ahead and buy another one just to have as backup in case something happens to this one or something like that, or if I ended up damaging it, taking it to deer camping back. So what we ended up doing is we bought the Deluxe model, and this one is officially my deer camp model, my fish camp model, and the one that we use for that. But if you can't find this particular model, the Deluxe model is exactly the same. It's got the same electronic ignition. Now for some exciting news, Camp Chef just released what they're calling the Pro model. The Pro series actually has an electronic thermostat in it, just like your conventional oven at home. So instead of a thermometer, it's got a thermostat, and it helps control the flame down below and keep your meals at a lot more consistent heat. Now again, when you're cooking with a small stove like this, you have to treat it just like you are a smoker. If you're looking, you ain't cooking. Same thing with this. If you keep opening this door, that's a tiny oven. You're letting all the heat out. The great thing about having this glass, you can actually look in here. If your cheese is starting to melt, and if you guys haven't seen the tater tot casserole video, we actually cooked that entire meal in this exact oven. I'll put a link for that so you guys can see it, and it'll give you a better idea of what you can and can't do with this particular oven and oven set. But I'm telling you, if you've watched our videos over the last 3 years, unless you specifically see me using the smoker or our PK grill, those meals are coming off of this, because that's what we use, and all those meals have been created on this that we've got links below over the last 3 years. I'll share a playlist with you if you're interested in that as well. Again, the Pro model, it costs a little bit more, but you are getting a thermostat. Otherwise, the oven size, all three of these models are exactly the same size. You can put up to a 9x13 pan in it. It's got a big enough space you can have a 12-inch skillet or a couple of 10-inch skillets, or split it up how you want. You've got plenty of cook stove up top. Guys, you could actually make an entire Thanksgiving meal on this, and the reason that I can tell you can is because we've done it. Again, we're going to wrap this up. I know it's been a deep dive. Thanks for hanging in here until the end of the video. What I'll tell you is this thing works great. We've got zero complaints with it. We've had zero issues with it. Occasionally, like I said, if you are using this in an outdoor environment, sometimes you may need to use a match or an electric lighter to actually get the burner going, and I don't care what camp stove you got. That's going to happen on a windy day, but once you do get it going, nothing's blowing it out. We've never had a flame blowout or anything like that. Zero issues. Who do I think this unit's for? If you love the outdoors, if you love camping, you're somebody that goes to fish camp or deer camp or hiking camp, or maybe you're into kayak tournaments and you know that to save money you're going to be camping out of your vehicle. If you've got room for this thing, it's worth taking. As you've seen, it didn't take very long for this pot of coffee to get going. I've been drinking coffee throughout this whole video, and it's just another wonderful way to keep you outside, enjoy the outdoors. Again, we absolutely love it. If I was going to rate this thing, I'd give it 5 stars. Would I buy the Pro model? If you've got the money, guys, and you're not charging it, buy the Pro model. I think you'll be happy with it. If you're like me and you're on a budget, my wife just made a valid point. You know who else this thing is for? Anybody that cooks, and that doesn't matter if you camp or not. Guys, if you've enjoyed this video, think about giving us a thumbs up. If you don't like this video at all, be sure to give us the thumbs down. Hit that button twice, that way we get full credit for it. If you found any of this information useful, please share it with your friends. It's people like you who have already subscribed to our channel that are helping us grow. We're trying to make this one of the biggest channels here in East Texas, and we couldn't do it without you. If you enjoy the outdoors and you haven't subscribed, I'd love to talk you into joining our family. Again, we're located in East Texas, but we go all over the place. We just enjoy the outdoors. It saves your bacon, as my wife just said. So again, guys, we appreciate your likes, comments, and subscribes. May you have a blessed week, and let's get outside and make something happen. That's good coffee. That's good coffee.